It was supposed to be a triumph that a ship that sailed not on the ocean, but through the clouds. People called it the future of travel, the symbol of human genius, graceful, silent, unstoppable. The world looked up in wonder and believed that the sky had finally become ours. But sometimes, when we reach too high, the sky reminds us how fragile we really are. This is the story of the Hindenburg, that a story not only of fire and steel, but of pride, hope, and the day humanity fell from the heavens. Presented by Biography Plus in the early 1930s, airships were the pride of the modern age. They floated like silver giants, gliding over cities, oceans, and mountains. People watched them pass overhead, massive, quiet, almost alive. They were more than machines. They were symbols of peace and progress in a world still healing from war. Germany's engineers dreamed of building the greatest of them all, a flying palace so vast it could carry dozens across the Atlantic in comfort. And they did. They built the LZ-129 Hindenburg. The Hindenburg was a marvel, over 800 feet long, wrapped in shining silver skin. Inside, there were cabins with warm lights and soft music, a grand dining hall, even a smoking lounge. Inside, a ship filled with flammable gas. It was bold, it was beautiful, and it was dangerous to lift the ship. Engineers used hydrogen, a gas lighter than air, powerful but deadly if mishandled. Helium was safer, but at that time, only the United States produced it, and they refused to sell it to Germany. So they took a risk they believed they could control. After all, it had worked before. The Hindenburg made dozens of successful flights. It crossed oceans with ease. Passengers wrote letters describing the view, the clouds glowing beneath the morning sun, the earth far below like a painted map. To them, this was the future, travel beyond fear, beyond gravity, beyond limits. But fate had other plans. May 6, 1937, the sky above Lakehurst, New Jersey was restless. Dark clouds gathered, heavy with rain. Lightning flashed in the distance, faint but threatening. The Hindenburg circled the field, waiting for permission to land. Inside, passengers leaned toward the windows, watching the ground below, green fields, cars, the small silhouettes of people waiting. They were almost home. 3 days across the ocean, and now, only minutes from safety. On the ground, crowds gathered to witness the arrival. Reporters, photographers, families, all waiting for the silver giant to descend. Among them was a young radio announcer named Herb Morrison, his microphone ready, his voice calm. That he was there to describe a moment of triumph he could not have known. He was about to record one of history's darkest nights. At 7:25 p.m., the order was given. The ship began its final descent. Ropes were dropped from its belly. Crew members on the ground grabbed them, guiding the airship in. From below, the Hindenburg looked magnificent, its silver body glowing in the orange light of sunset. For a brief moment, the world held its breath. Then, a spark, a faint hiss, a flicker of light near the tail, and in the next heartbeat, fire. The flame spread faster than anyone could imagine. Hydrogen ignited, roaring through the ship like a living beast. The air turned into fire, a blazing storm devouring steel and silk. From the ground, Herb Morrison's voice broke through the chaos. It's bursting into flames. It's crashing. Oh, the humanity. His words trembled with disbelief. They were not the words of a reporter. They were the cry of a man watching the unthinkable unfold. In just 34 seconds, the largest airship ever built was gone. Fire consumed everything. People ran, shouting, crying, trying to help. Others froze, unable to look away. Through the smoke and screams, some figures stumbled out, burned, shocked. Barely alive. Out of the 97 people on board, 62 survived. Against every law of chance, they lived, they would later say. They didn't remember jumping, only light, heat, and falling through flames. When the fire finally died, the once majestic Hindenburg was nothing but twisted metal. The silver skin was gone. The grand ship, the pride of a nation, was reduced to silence. Above the field, the smoke hung heavy and dark. The dream that had touched the sky was gone forever. When dawn rose over Lakehurst, the air was still heavy with smoke. Firefighters moved quietly through the wreckage, a field of twisted metal and silence. Where there had once been pride and celebration, there was now only disbelief. The photographers who had come to capture history had done just that, but not in the way anyone expected. Across the world, newspapers printed the image, the airship falling, swallowed by fire. The headline said it all: the Hindenburg burns. For Germany, it was a national tragedy. For the families of the crew and passengers, it was heartbreak beyond words. And for the world, it was a warning. People began to ask, how could something so perfect fail so completely? What went wrong in those final seconds? Investigators searched for answers. They studied every frame of film, every witness account, every piece of scorched fabric. Some believed it was static electricity, a spark created when the ship released its landing ropes in humid air. Others said it was a gas leak, hydrogen escaping through the outer skin. A few whispered about sabotage, but no proof was ever found. In truth, it didn't matter, because the lesson was already written in the flames. After the disaster, airship travel ended almost overnight. The dream of floating cities in the sky vanished. People turned to airplanes. Faster, smaller, safer. The age of the Zeppelin was over. And yet, the image of that burning ship never faded. It became one of the most powerful symbols of human fragility. A reminder that progress can be both beautiful and dangerous. For those who survived, life would never be the same. Some never flew again. Some spent years telling their stories, not of fire, but of the seconds before it, when everything still felt possible. One survivor later said, "It wasn't the fall that scared me. It was the silence after." That silence, that moment when the world realized what had been lost, still echoes through time. Biography Plus. We tell these stories because they remind us who we are. They remind us that ambition without caution can burn brighter than we ever intended, that progress demands humility, and that even in tragedy, there are lessons worth remembering. The next time you look up at the sky and see a plane gliding through the clouds, remember the dream that came before it, the dream that touched the heavens and fell back to earth in fire. This was the Hindenburg Disaster, a sky full of fire. Thank you for watching Biography Plus. If this story moved you, please like, share, and subscribe for more true stories that keep history alive.